Okay, so hi everybody. Whatever you do, just make sure you've actually opened up this Microsoft Excel file first before you begin, because I don't want you to be typing everything out. We're just here to do the calculations and put it on a graph. We're not here to be typing out all the words and all the details. So if you click on this little arrow here and just save that file, right, or open it and then save it, right? Now it's all ready to go. Here's the file, enable editing, and we can use it, right? So now I don't have to type out all this stuff. It's all ready to go on the file. So make sure you do that. And it's right here. Make sure you open up this file and use that, and then save that on your computer, okay? Okay, so I hope you've managed to open up this Microsoft Excel file, and if not, you're welcome to use any other type of spreadsheet that you have. That's fine, and you can just fill it out as I have or something similar. That's fine. Anything that does the job will work. So in this project we're looking at rent versus mortgage, and we're going to pay particular attention to the effect of inflation on the difference between renting a house and having a mortgage over time. Okay, so all of the, as we go through this, you'll see that all of these yellow numbers you can make up yourself from a real life situation, and then other numbers will be calculated based off of those. Now I've just made up some that seem to make sense, and in this project we'll use these numbers, but then I want you to do a project afterwards where you make up some of your own numbers that make sense to you, and they could be totally fictional or they could be real. It doesn't really matter. Just wanting you to do a project that you feel is useful to your life. So in any case, the first, so we have the so I've made up the property price of $200,000, and our down payment is going to be 20%, and I've chosen that because usually if you have a down payment of less than 20%, then you've got to pay mortgage insurance. But of course there are other low income loans you can get from, say, USDA or so on, and well, sometimes it is a good idea to get it depends. It could be a good thing to get a mortgage if you have less than this amount of down payment. But in any case, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to calculate the down payment. Now we've got to get 20% of 200,000. Okay. Now I could easily just calculate that. So equals 0.20 times 200,000. But the whole point of using a spreadsheet is that you can adjust some numbers, and then your calculations should change also. Now if I just typed it in like that, and then I decided, hey, the house is going to be 250,000, right? This 40,000 doesn't change. Okay, so I'll have to calculate everything out all over again if I'm doing my calculators using the numbers themselves, right? So the whole point of a spreadsheet is that, like Microsoft Excel in these situations, is that we actually use the cell numbers to do the calculations with. Now when you're using this, you always start with equals, because that's what's going to go in here, and I want to take this number, which is in cell C2. Now see, the row is 2, it's row number 2, okay, and the column number is C. So this cell is called C2, right? So C2, see that? And I'm going to take that cell and I'm going to multiply it by this cell above, which is in column D, and it's row number 1. So this cell here is the cell D1. It goes column row, so D1. So I'm going C2 times D1. Then I press enter. 40,000. See that? Now, there's another way of doing this, which is you could just go equals, and I want this cell, which is C2, click on it, C2, see that? Times, and then I'll just click on this cell D1, times D1, see that? So now it says equals C2 times D1, the blue cell times the red cell, and then I press enter, right? Now the reason we do it that way, as I said, is that if I change this to 250,000, if your house price changed or whatever, then your down payment would change. If you want your down payment to be more or less, then it would change like that. See that? Right? So the whole point of referencing cells is so that we can change our inputs, right? So now we have to get our loan amount, which is on row 3 here. Our loan amount is going to be the property price minus the down payment of 40,000, right? So it's going to be equals, and again, instead of just typing in 200,000 minus 40,000, that's not a good idea because go away please, because we're not referencing cells. I'm going to go equals D1 subtract D2. Press enter, right? So it's the blue cell minus the red cell, and that gives me 160,000, right? And again, I'll do it again a different way. So I could go, if I wanted to, I could go equals D1 minus D2. See that? Right. So that's the loan amount. And then, of course, if your property price changed to say 350,000, then you'd need this down payment, and that would be your loan amount, right? Okay. So moving on, I've got an interest rate of 5%, and I need to calculate on row 6. I need to calculate the monthly interest rate. Okay. So the monthly interest rate is going to be the annual interest rate, which is 5%, divided by what? So it's going to be the annual interest rate divided by, divide sign, divide bar, 12, isn't it? And then you press enter, okay? And notice that if you right click on a cell and go to format cells, you can change the number of decimal points. So you can give it lots more decimal points or lots less. But it's okay. It doesn't matter what's displayed here. The spreadsheet itself is going to remember this number to a very high level of accuracy, to many, many decimal points, even though it's only displayed. So it doesn't matter what you actually see with your eyes. Your computer, your spreadsheet will remember, will store that number as a very accurate decimal, right? So the term of loan in years I've given is 30 years, because that's common. And our number of payments is going to be 30 times 12 equals, but again, I'm not going to type 30. I'm going to take this D7, right? D7, I'm going to divide that by 12. See that? Oh, sorry, times it by 12. Silly me. Times it by 12, because that's the number of payments. So it should be 360 payments over 12 years. Agreed? Okay, so now we're on to the big calculation of the day, which is the monthly mortgage payment. And so we'll go to paper for that, and from our spreadsheet we can see the numbers we need. Okay, so to calculate the monthly payment, we'll need this formula, which is monthly payment equals amount borrowed times that. You're familiar with that formula. Now the amount borrowed is 160,000, so we put that up here. And then we multiply by R, and what's the rate? Well, the rate is 5% over 12, right? So that's 0.05 divided by 12, so it's 0.0041667, okay? And then we multiply by 1 plus R to the power of T. Now what's T? T is the number of payments. So it's a 30-year mortgage times 12 months. That's 360 months. 360 payments, right? So then it's times 1 plus R, which is 1.0041667 to the power of 360, right? So that's what's on the top. And then we calculate the bottom, 1 plus R to the power of T minus 1. Okay, so that's 1.0041667 0.0041667 to the power of t, which is 360, and then minus 1, right? Okay, so I guess we could do that. Go ahead and calculate that and see what you get, right? Now, so in any case, that's 160,000 times 0.0041667, and then times 1.0041667 to the power of 360. Okay, so on the top we should have that number, 2978.5556 approximately, over, and the bottom number should be 1.0041667 to the power of 360, and then minus 1. Okay, so your bottom number should be 3.4677,977, right? And so that should give us approximately, so I'll take that top number and divide by the bottom, 3.4677977, approximately 858.92. So that's approximately what your monthly payment should be. Now what we're going to do is calculate this with a one-line calculator entry, and then we'll do it with a spreadsheet. But I'll just do it on the calculator first, because I just want to show that when we calculate this in a spreadsheet, what we want to do is we want to tell the computer or the calculator that we want to calculate the top first, right, to get this number, right, this number here, see that? And then we want to calculate all of the bottom, right, to get this number. And at the very end, we want to divide. Okay? See, if you just typed all this in and put a divide sign here, the calculator would then subtract 1 at the very end, wouldn't it? Right? So the point is that your calculator understands PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. It understands the order of operations PEMDAS. So you need to use parentheses to make sure the calculator does what you want, okay? Or the spreadsheet, right? So if I write it out, I'll have parenthesis, 160,000 times, let me do a times, okay? And then 0.0041667, and then a times, and then a 1.0041667 to the power of, that's the power of, to the power of 360, right? And then a parenthesis around that. So you're telling the calculator, please do, follow PEMDAS, do all the parentheses first. And after you've calculated all that, then, well, we'll have a divide. Okay. And so, but then, and in parentheses, we do the bottom. So it's 1.0041667 to the power of 360, and then minus 1, and then close parenthesis. So I'm telling the calculator, do the top, do the bottom, and then divide. So it's doing everything in this parenthesis, everything in this parenthesis, and then it's dividing, right? And that's a one-line calculator entry. So that's how that worked, right? So that, type the whole thing in, you get the answer right away. Okay, so we're going to copy that on the spreadsheet. Now, if we look at our spreadsheet, what I want you to try to find is what cell number do each of these numbers correspond to. Okay, so we'll try to do the top. So if we go to our spreadsheet, so we've calculated the monthly mortgage payment by hand. We've looked at a calculator entry, and now we're going to do a spreadsheet entry. So what we need to do is find the cell numbers for the numbers we need. So for the loan amount, that cell there is cell D3, isn't it? Right? For the loan amount, we have D3. So I'm going to write that down. Okay. And for the monthly interest rate, we've got cell D6, so I'm writing that down. D6. Let's see. And then for the number of payments T, and so actually I'm going to make a note here. Monthly interest rate, that's R, right? Number of payments, that's T, isn't it? There we go. So T is D8, right? And so that's all we need from here, and then we go back to the paper and write out our what our entry should look like. Okay, so we're going to now that we know the cell numbers, okay, we need a parenthesis around the top of the fraction. We know the loan amount was D3, right? So from the spreadsheet we can see that the loan amount is D3. Then we're going to times that by the rate R, which was D6, right? And then we times that by 1 plus the rate, okay? So that's 1 plus R, or remember this is 1 plus R. 1 plus R here, right? So that should be 1 plus D6, okay? And then we put it to the power of 360, and again we don't write in 360, but we put in D8 because that's what the number of payments was in our spreadsheet, right? Okay, and then we're going to divide. We're going to put the parentheses around the bottom of the fraction, okay? And again, this is a 1 plus R to the power of T, right? So we've got a 1 plus D6 in parentheses to the power of, and 360 is the number of payments, that's D8, then minus 1. Okay, so again we've got parentheses around the top and bottom, where we have loan payment is D3, the rate is D6. We have 1 plus for the 1 plus rate, we have 1 plus D6 to the power of, and the number of payments is D8. Okay, and same over here. 1 plus R is 1 plus D6 in parentheses to the power of D8, and then minus 1. Okay, and so we make sure to put an equals in front of there, and then hit enter, and that should give us our 858.92. Right. Okay, so on the monthly mortgage payment, we go equals parenthesis, and it's D3, so D3 times D6, and then times, and it's 1 plus D6, so we want to make sure we get a 1 plus D6, so we go 1 plus D6, okay, and then to the power of, there's a little hat above your 6 key. And if you hit shift and then hit 6 on your top row of numbers, it should give you a little hat sign for the exponent, and then D8, okay, and then close parentheses for the top of the fraction, okay, and then divide by, and now we need to close parentheses for the bottom of the fraction, and inside here we have a 1 plus the rate, so that's a 1 plus D6. Okay, oh, that should be plus 1 plus D6, and then to the power of, and then it is T, which is the number of payments, which is D8. Okay, and then we subtract 1. Okay, so that should give us our $858, right? And this is rounded, so 859, right? But if you were to look at, if we go to format cells, then you'll see that that is correct, right? So again, that is the, let's see. So again, this is what we need to enter for the monthly mortgage payment.